You know, Manny, as it turns out, is not a good driver at all. He kept running into walls and columns, and it was just a big mess. So Manny, you gotta work on your driving skills for sure.
People say change is good, but sometimes change means the entire world as you know it is about to end.
But this was insane.
As most Wimpy Alien fans know, the start of season 2 was delayed last March because of the pandemic that hit.
And everything shuts down. We as a production company had to shut down for quite a while.
We had to scale back our videos.
And then of course the idea of doing a Diary of a Wimpy Alien main episode that usually requires a large cast and a large crew seemed practically impossible.
So in order to shoot Diary of a Wimpy Alien safely, we had to change a few things. Usually we have a full cast and crew. We have human characters. This time, though, was a little bit different. It was Brendan, Will, and I. We were the only ones on set doing everything, both in front and behind the camera.
We definitely pay attention to the fans' comments and suggestions, and one fan suggested us doing a Shining parody. And Will and I loved that idea, thought that was great. The Shining, what that does, it's all about isolation in you know, a hotel essentially, and one person going slowly insane. And that seemed to kind of lend itself to how we all collectively felt during the pandemic.
So it was very strange for us being just 3 of us cooped up in the house doing this.
No one leaves this house.
But at the same time, it was also kind of like a weird staycation of, okay, you're gonna be in the house for hours on end, and you go a little loopy being in there. It didn't feel unlike The Shining.
It was really fun being able to pair up The Shining with Diary of a Wimpy Alien. I think one of my favorite shots that kind of made it like it's The Shining is the aerial shot that we got with the drone of Brendan's parents' house with our music that John Mandelli created.
Just because there were only 3 of us on set does not mean that only the 3 of us are responsible for this episode. It's always a collaborative effort. It's always a team effort. We were working with a number of remote crews on this episode. We got to work with our good friend Caitlin Foster again, who is good friends with Matt Drennan, who has helped us in the past with his awesome xenomorph costume. You might remember his appearance in episode 7.
On the day that they shot, this is complete coincidence, but the day that they shot was also one of our 4 shooting days.
And she actually videotaped the whole thing on a green screen and was asking, I guess, for direction as we were shooting the main episode, which is crazy. Like, as we're lining up our shots, she's showing us on the phone, what her shot looks like, and we're giving her notes at the same time.
So it's like there's 2 sets going on at once, and it felt very big. I don't know if we've ever had 2 sets going at once for Andu Films, so it was, a small scale of those 2 things, but it happened.
And then, of course, we always work with John Mandelli and Audra Mandelli, who live in Tennessee, so we always have to work with them remotely. But John, of course, does the animation for the episode, and Audra provides the voice of Greg Zeenle.
Wait, what? I've been recast!
And it was a thrill to have a friend of ours who actually does CG modeling.
Josh Rudloff, who we have worked with on a previous project years ago, but it was awesome to see him build this incredible Sulaco model spaceship, and being able to essentially replicate the alien shot when the Sulaco is first introduced. I don't know, moments like that really get me charged as a movie geek when we get to kind of replicate famous shots from movies that I love. Pretty much from the first episode of Diary of a Wimpy Alien, we wanted to find a way to incorporate the Queen Alien. That if we're playing in the universe of Alien and Predator and all that, you want to see the Queen Alien. But we initially really didn't have any idea how to do that.
Well...
We started settling on the idea of what if we get a very detailed toy, a very detailed model of the Queen Alien, and maybe we can do some kind of stop motion animation technique with it.
Pieces of the character are manipulated, so like the head is actually just moving in real time, that's being puppeted. But some of the arms are being done in stop motion, and some of the rest of it's being done in After Effects digital puppetry. So there's like 3 methods being used at once.
But that was a ton of fun, just getting the Queen Alien toy and seeing how detailed this model is. It really is incredible.
But hopefully it just makes the character look cool, and you're not so pinned down that you know how that was done that it rings is completely fake.
Manny.
When will Manny grow older?
Egg. Say what now? Egg.
Manny has always been fun.
Manny on the tricycle, hilarious. Like, it's so funny.
But essentially, Manny has been a glorified prop. There's a puppet, obviously, but for the most part, he can just be held or propped up against a chair or something like that. It became clear the fan base really wanted to see Manny grow up. And of course we did too, but we didn't know exactly what that meant.
So our original idea for Manny was to actually have like a toddler in a mask riding the tricycle. We thought that would have been really funny, but we didn't have a toddler available to us. And, you know, COVID, so we're keeping everything to 3 people.
So the idea of just upgrading him to a toddler puppet came to mind.
And it also opens up a wide array of possibilities for this character, you know, moving around and interacting with Greg and Roderick. Like, I think for the first time, this really feels like an episode where the brothers all get to work together and have an adventure together. And I think that's a really cool dynamic specifically about this episode. All that being said, Manny continues to be a diva on set.
So what we did instead was get Manny on the tricycle, which he did not want to get on, by the way. He was fighting the entire time. What a diva.
We love the character, but he can be tricky to manipulate at times. It's a patience game with Manny, for sure. But something that was really cool and kind of played into our favor with The Shining specifically was Danny, the little boy in The Shining. He rides around the hotel in his tricycle. It's like, oh, perfect. If we can get the doll on the bike, we can move him around on that bike. We won't have to worry about puppeteering. We'll just kind of pull the bike along and that'll be easy. Turns out that was a lot more difficult than we thought it would be. But it's a great way of moving Manny around without having to constantly walk him into frame or walk him out of frame.
So actually my favorite acting challenge in this episode was fighting with Toon Greg, because Toon Greg isn't actually there. Usually if you have a fight partner, you do choreography without the mask, you learn the choreography, then you put on the mask, you do it half speed and then 3/4 speed, which is our performance speed, and you go from there. However, it's me doing everything, just reacting to these punches that are being thrown at me that aren't really thrown at me because Toon Greg is not really there. But it was a lot of fun fighting nothing because you know you're not gonna get hurt. And if I do get hurt, it's really just my fault, so. No, actually, to be fair, the most challenging scenes for me are the scenes that Greg's just standing there and having a conversation, because I don't get to do a lot of physicality, and that's what really makes Greg fun for me. So I prefer the fight scenes to the scenes where he's just standing and talking to Roderick. I know, Brendan always says that he's worried for my safety, like I'm some wimpy little girl or something, but no, the character's wimpy, Alea is not. Marion and Gary Rogers are absolutely wonderful. They're Brendan's parents, and they allow us to film the Wimpy Aliens at their house when it takes place at the house. So a huge thank you to Marion and Gary Rogers. We couldn't have done it without you or your beautiful home. Thank you so much for tuning in to the behind the scenes of Diary of Wimpy Alien 11, The Wreckning. If you are a huge Wimpy Alien fan and want to support Andy Films, you can check us out on our Teespring store. We can get all of your Wimpy Alien merch. And this is the beginning of season 2, so stay tuned to watch more Wimpy Alien fun.